What is going on, Titan Nation? Hope everybody is doing well out there. We have another awesome show for you guys tonight. With Cory Curtis is on the show, so we're excited to have him back. Again, he's we're gonna have to start calling him like a contributor or something, Titan Upload Network contributor. But no, we're gonna go ahead and bring him in here, and we'll get the show rolling. Thank y'all so much for all the support on the network. The subscriber count's been going up, the views, the likes, all that type of stuff. We had a great show just Monday night with Mike Moritas from the Titans Wire. Really good stuff from him. We're actually talking about bringing him on for a 2-week rotation. So maybe every other Wednesday or something like that, we'll have him on. So that'll be something cool for you guys as well. So, all right, we are going to bring the Honorable Cory Curtis in. How's it going, man?
I'm adequate tonight. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's been a weird week, for Nashville as a whole. This thing that happened, and like I told our viewers the other day, obviously this is a sports channel. What you do is sports as well, but this does hit home with all of us. And, you think a lot of the times this stuff happens, all over the country. It happens too much. And it's almost like you get desensitized to it in a way when it's far away. And not, but it's almost becoming like regular news. But when it hits so close to home, man, it affects you.
Yeah, I mean, being this close to home is definitely different. I don't know about you. I get mad every time. I mean,
I do too. But
I really do. I mean, I'm going to tell you, yesterday morning, I watched the body cam video and I sat in my car and I cried.
Yeah.
I mean, just the bravery of those men, and I have a 10-year-old daughter. Thinking about the terror of those kids in that school, it's just it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I saw the body cam footage too. And the bravery of those men, and you got to give a shout out to the police there in Nashville. I mean, they went in, got the job done. I mean, in and out. It was
amazing
to watch them. I mean,
there's no hesitation.
Hesitation.
This is a good thing we can actually equate this to football some, because coaches love practice, right? When they talk about practice, because when you practice things and you do them over and over again, when the game comes, you don't have to think, you just do. Those guys had practiced, okay? They got in that school and they just did. They went room to room, and the moment they saw the shooter, they took her down, and that was it.
And hopefully, other precincts across the country can use it as a training lesson. And what amazed me about it too, man. And what amazed me about it too is you see in the video, not everybody's watched it, and I don't blame them, but you see in the video, the guy says, I need 4, I need 3. He said, I need 3 more. Then 2 guys came. He said, I need 1 more. They did that with 4 guys.
Yeah.
I
don't remember how many total I saw in the building. I think there were more than 4 in the building. I think there were some that were already in there before he got in there.
Okay.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not. I just know that they were systematic in going from room to room. They were all incredibly brave. None of them hid from anything. They put themselves out there, to save lives.
And you said, you had mentioned before the show, Amy was making a contribution, or
well, there are reports of a contribution coming tonight. We should hear more about that from. There's an event happening tonight, and I believe. I think I saw Steve Cavendish on Twitter reported it a couple hours ago that that a donation is coming tonight from Amy, and I think from the NFL. But that was Steve Cavendish with the banner. Reported that.
Yeah, man, and it makes me think about too, and like I said, we just want to talk about this in the beginning, but it makes me think about, like you said, you have children. I don't have children. I have a little nephew that I'm very close to, but I mean, I just can't imagine having kids and thinking that, okay, I'm supposed to be sending my kids to school and they're supposed to be protected, and you never know, man. And that's it. It crushes me, man, to think about the parents out there and um, all that stuff, just the fear that it could instill.
I don't know if you'd ever see me again. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be done.
Yeah. I wanted to play the video you posted on your Twitter from the Predators. I thought it was a really cool moment. So
yeah, look, last night, one of the greatest upsets in Predator history. I mean, I don't want to put in, and they clearly played for this city, and for those kids. And, I mean, it was a bunch of kids on the ice beating the best team in hockey. And you could tell after the game, if you want to play it, it meant more to them than just beating the best team in hockey.
Yeah, it was incredible. I watched the highlights, and what an awesome moment. Here's the video from after the game.
And you made yourselves proud, you made the organization proud, and you also made, in my opinion, I'm pretty confident that the city of Nashville proud to come in here and beat the best team in the league on the day after what happened, which was really, really good. Captain, what do you got?
Yeah, just, well, thanks. Amazing job, boys. Juice, amazing. Last year. Everybody, though, that was fun to watch. I mean, that's the best team in the league, and you came in here, got 2 points. But like I just said, it's been a tough couple of days in Nashville, obviously. A lot of people affected, the whole community, our team, obviously was really affected by it. And so tonight, we're not going to get this to play. We're going to put it on the table and just be thinking of the families that were affected, first responders, and just everyone else that was affected. So we'll put it on the table just for Nashville, and we'll be thinking of everyone that was affected by the strategy.
Awesome stuff, man. Just awesome stuff. I do, let's get into the Titans here. We were talking about this before the show too, and you had it on your mind. Obviously, we're in a situation with the Titans where we were talking about this with Mike from the Titans Wire on Monday, but the desperate situation at wide receiver. Now, we could go back to a certain wide receiver that John Robinson had traded for. And I kind of want you to just hit on what you're talking about before the show and how it's affected the future for the Titans and now.
Well, I mean, this Julio Jones trade just keeps hurting the team. I mean, it's not over with. The pain from that trade keeps coming. And I get why J-Rob did it. He was swinging for the fences. He wanted to win the Super Bowl. I mean, Amy has made it perfectly clear she wants to win the Super Bowl sooner rather than later. And so he was going for it, and I understand it. But we all know he overpaid, right? We all agree he overpaid. No one else was gonna give that much. No one else was giving a second-round pick for Julio Jones. So they lost the second-round pick last year. They don't have a fourth-round pick this year. But then the other aspect that we've got is you've got players, multiple players on this team, Tannehill, Byard, who restructured their deals to fit this under the cap and to give them some cap space because they brought him in. And so it just, Byard's cap number is $20 million. Tannehill's is like 36 or something like million now. And that's because they had to restructure their deals and push it forward. And it has them in a tough spot now. So this deal, which didn't work out, you could say, that's all in hindsight, but it's had long-term effects on the team and effects that are still being felt, in my opinion. I mean, fourth-round picks, you can say, it's a fourth-round pick. That's a lot to throw in with a second-rounder. Dave Stewart was a fourth-round pick I mean, there's good players to be had there.
Yeah, there is, man. And wasn't wasn't Jayon Brown a 4th round
He was a
pick?
5th round pick, yeah.
He was a 5th round pick, and then David Long. I
6th
can't
round
remember
pick.
what.
David
6th
Long
round
was
pick,
actually the
okay.
draft pick they got in the throw-in pick they got in the Ryan Tannehill trade.
Oh, okay.
That was the pick they got. What they sent? I think they sent a 4 to the Dolphins for Tannehill and a 6.
Yeah,
that was
that's what
6.
it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's amazing how that does keep affecting the team. I mean, at the time, people were I was excited. Everybody was excited. You know, you're bringing on Julio Jones, a guy that at the time, would you consider it a bad trade?
You know, look, if they win the Super Bowl, it's not.
Right.
I mean, if you win the Super Bowl, then it all pays off. And look, I don't think Julio Jones is why they didn't beat the Bengals. I mean, obviously, you know, the quarterback had a bad day. They had a team to go and win it all. They just didn't do it. And
Yeah.
you know, so like I said, I get what J-Rob did. It didn't work out, and then when the Rams did all they did, okay, and they won the Super Bowl. So everybody can put up with last year because they got their trophy. When you don't get the trophy, the chances you take, the problems you put yourself in, you know, to make that run don't look as good. And so that's the job. And that's what goes with the job, unfortunately. If you don't hoist the trophy, you look like a chowderhead.
Right. And yeah, I mean, it definitely didn't hurt J-Rob's case, or didn't help J-Rob's case at the end there. Awaken has a question for you. He says, with the Titans having so many needs, should Tennessee draft the next best player at 11?
You know, I don't think that's really ever a bad thing to do, because you know I always go to the running back position, and all the teams that passed on Adrian Peterson because they had a running back. You know, I talk about that all the time. All the teams that passed on Aaron Rodgers because they had a quarterback. You know, if the guy's the best player on the board, he's going to make you better. And so that's never a bad thing to do. The only thing I'll say is if they want to address the quarterback situation this year, then I get it, because Tannehill's got 1 year left. And so it could be an opportunity to do that. You know, I know everybody wants an offensive lineman, and I could perfectly see them getting an offensive lineman around one. Just look at the Bengals the year they took Jamar Chase. Everybody said they had to take Penei Sewell. You have to take Penei Sewell. You have to take Penei Sewell. You have to take Penei Sewell. Who did they take? They took Jamar Chase. Do you think they regret it? No,
Absolutely
not at all.
not.
He was the best player on their board, and he's a freaking star. All right.
Yeah.
So, you know, you trust your board, you trust your people, and you take the best players that you can. Usually when you have to address need, you overreach, and that's when you kind of get into problems. So, you know, I would say taking the best player is quite often the best thing to do. Again, the caveat for me there is, do they have a plan at quarterback? Because that could change everything.
Right. And I mean, realistically, and we've talked about this till we're blue in the face, and we're going to talk about it a lot more. You know, obviously Ryan Tannehill, it's kind of at the moment, it's in a way like a fan base divided. I mean, you still have a lot of people who are very loyal to Ryan Tannehill.
He's been a good player.
He's been great. I've got a lot of respect for him. He's had some great moments. He's had a couple great years. He had a great year. The year, especially the year after he took over.
Yeah. Oh, he's phenomenal. He's fantastic. He has not played to that level since.
No. He also had a pretty good team around him too. Pretty decent offense around him. Decent offensive line. Do you like what they've done so far with the offensive line?
Look, I think every time I get asked about this, I think what they've done has been very fiscally responsible. Okay, they've got a lot of short-term deals. They haven't overspent on a lot of these guys. Andre Dillard, I'm not sure if he's a match for this team or not. But look, he's a big athletic guy. And I hate to make this the caveat. He is not going to be worse than Dennis Daly. All right. He's got to be better than Dennis Daly. So I think you're going to be able to put him out there and not regret it. All right. So I think you're going to be better on the left side, which is important. I think the Brunskill, the guy they got from San Francisco, gives them something they really like, which is versatility. I think he can play any of the three positions on the inside that they choose, and that gives them flexibility in what they do in the draft and the players that they bring in. And so, like I said, those are all responsible moves, and that's also a player he knows relatively well. So I think that they've done some good things there. There's obviously more work to do. I know they've still got Jamarco Jones on the roster. Dylan Radins is coming back. We'll see if either of those guys can contribute this year. The big key. I mean, look, when you're playing your 10th, 11th, 12th lineman or wherever they were at last year, you're going to stink. Okay. That's just the way it is. You've got to keep your guys healthy. The Eagles made the Super Bowl because they were like the healthiest team in the league. They had A.J. Brown for every game. They had Jalen Hurts for every game. They had their offensive line for like every game. And, that's the, one of the big keys. The healthiest teams are generally going to get there. So, you get your guys. Look, this overhaul won't take 1 year. They don't have the draft picks or the cap space to do it, but it can certainly get started this year, and hopefully you finish it next year. And those guys are going to have a chance to show that they're a long-term solution for the Titans.
I do want to get to Charles. It kind of leads into this, but Charles Welbeck, who is a member of our channel here, he says, how long will it take for the Titans to get back to contention?
Well, look, I think what they're going to have on defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. I still like, that front. If you're good in the 3-4 guys up front, it does a lot of things for you. Okay. And so I think that defense, if it can stay healthy, can keep them in a lot of games. And if the offensive line is better and Tannehill plays well, again, they can be in a lot of games. Now, if you're talking about contention for the Super Bowl, I think that's something different. Okay.
Yeah.
You can be a contention for the division. You can be a contention for making the playoffs. But if you truly want to beat Herbert, Burrow, Mahomes, I think it could be a while because they've got to get the offensive line up to snuff. They've got to add another potent playmaker on the outside. And are you going to change the quarterback? And because this goes to the Tannehill thing. Do you believe he makes you a contender? A true contender. He's put them in position to be a contender, but then he's come up short in the playoffs each time. You go to the 3 playoff losses, he wasn't good enough in any of them.
Yeah, and I think if you polled people across Twitter, it would be overwhelming that they wouldn't agree that he could bring you into contention.
Yeah. So that's why I say you define contention, and that's part of the whole Tannehill fight. I'm sure there are people who believe he can do it in the playoffs. He just hasn't. Yeah.
The issue at wide receiver right now is pretty dire. It's you got Burks, and then you got a bunch of unproven. Well, Kyle Phillips. NWI. He's a 4th or 5th wide receiver. Let's be real.
Not on this team.
He's a guy he on a team. He should be the 4th or 5th. He should be the guy that comes in for a few plays here and there, things like that. As much as I like NWI and everything like that, he should be kind of that scrub wide receiver you bring in when you need a play every so often. You need a good block. But right now, Kyle Phillips is unproven. Now, supposedly he's putting on muscle and he's talked about it and
That's
things
the
like
plan,
that.
yeah.
That's the plan. Is it going to affect his speed? Is it going to affect his quickness? Really, you got nobody, man. Racy McMath. You got a bunch of guys on the practice squad, Mason Kinsey, other players and stuff. I mean, it's at this point, it's just not sustainable. The 615 asked, would you rather have Jackson Smith and Jigba or Quentin Johnson if they were available, I guess, when the Titans pick, whenever that is.
If I'm picking, you can argue this either way, but look at Jackson Smith and Jigba, all right, and go back, because I know he didn't play much last year. Go to the year before. Go look at his game lines. He has a 140-yard game in there. He also has a 240-yard game in there. And then in the college football playoffs, he had a 340-yard game with 3 touchdowns. That doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't.
Right.
That's special. All right. That's a special type of player. And I think, he can be a special type of player. And I would have a very hard time. I know not everyone agrees with this, and that's what this time of the year is all about. If they took him at 11, I'd have no problem with that whatsoever. And I go back to Jamar Chase at number 4 with the Bengals. They had receivers, remember? They had T. Higgins, and they had Tyler Boyd, and they had they might have even had A.J. Green at that point on the roster still. They had all those guys. So people are like, well, you need a tackle. You don't need a wide receiver. When he's one of the top 5 wide receivers in the game, you need him because he totally changes everything. And the Titans' need totally changes everything. And so I have no problem with Jackson Smith and Jigba. And like I've said, I know people want to get linemen, and you could get a good lineman there who could be an immediate starter there, and that's great. You can get linemen later. You just can't. You can get good linemen to start for you in the 2nd, 3rd, the 4th. I mean, Eugene Amano was, I think, a 7th-round pick. David Stewart was a 4th-round pick. You can find those guys. But if you want the receiver who changes the team, changes the offense, who, makes the game different for Ryan Tannehill, whoever your quarterback is, I mean, that's what you do. That's my opinion. I see some people, are talking about this, that first pick needs to be on the outside, whether it be a tackle, an edge rusher, a corner, or a wide receiver, unless you want to go cornerback.
Right.
Those are where you go generally in the first round, because that's where the difference makers are.
Right. And yeah, man, I really like Njigba too. I think he could be great for us, I guess another question is, they're gonna have to add somebody out of the free agency. I mean, there's no doubt about
a lot there, man.
Right. There's not. I mean, you got DJ Chark's gone. There's some other player. I'd have to go down the list and look at who's gone.
I was looking to see who's available, and like Richie James is available. And what's the kid?
Mims.
Kid from Atlanta is available. Oh gosh, I can't remember what his name is. It's like Osemi something or other.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's some guys that could be depth guys for them, that you could say, hey, this guy can come in and play. Marvin Jones got a 1-year, $3 million deal. He's old. I mean, he's old. Bring back Corey Davis. I think that they said he's staying this year. And I think part of that is Aaron Rodgers talked up Corey Davis the other day. I think he wants Corey Davis. So he's not going anywhere. I like Corey.
Has that trade happened yet officially? I mean, I got so tired of
No, look, they want too much. Okay? They're not going to get it. If I'm the Jets, I'm just going to sit and wait because they need that money off their books and they want that headache out of their locker room. All right?
Yeah.
And so they can say they want a 1st-round pick all they want. he's 50, 60 million against the cap. If I'm the
The
Jets,
Packers want a first-round pick.
yeah, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody else who's going to trade for him. There's no bidding war. Now, look, they could pull a Titans and give it to him, and like the Titans gave a second for Julio. But he's 40 years old with a monster cap hit. You're doing them a favor. You don't need to do them another one by giving them a first-round pick.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, and they've done. I mean, you know, if it does happen, which it should, they could be pretty good next year. I mean, if everything works out.
Oh yeah, look, the Jets roster outside of quarterback last year was pretty sharp.
Yeah,
I mean, Zach Wilson just too busy doing other stuff.
And they brought on they brought on a receiver there with the Jets.
Yeah, they did.
The guy from Lazard,
who's okay.
Yeah.
He's a great, he's a great big strong guy, but he's never been a difference maker.
But with the combination with Corey Davis, Lazard, the rookie guy Wilson there, the rookie of the year, you know, they could be pretty darn good, man. And they could have a pretty talented offense there with Rodgers. Well,
look, right now the Patriots look like the worst team in that division.
Yeah, they do, and that's crazy. A lot of people want Corey back. Obviously, a lot of people didn't want Corey to go either. I know Titan Upload, the founder of this network, was big on keeping Corey Davis, and maybe it would have been a good decision at the time. I don't know. Team. I mean, money wise,
he fit this team, and also, had they just given him 4 years and $40 million, they probably could have kept him.
Yeah.
I mean, like when they decided not to give him his 5th-year option, which was totally understandable because it was like $18 million. And at that time, that was a ridiculous amount. I think you could have said, hey, Corey, we're not going to pick up your option because we think that number is too high, but we want you to be part of this team. Give him 4 years and 40 or 4 years and 48 or something along those lines. And I think you could have kept him. And that deal right now would look like a steal.
Yeah, and it was Mecole Hardman, so Keon. It was Mecole Hardman that the Jets got too.
Well,
yeah,
they also got Alan Lazard.
Yeah,
Lazard. Them adding OBJ.
Yeah, I mean, they're going for it. You know, I mean, I don't blame them. Might as well. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens with them. As far as the Titans go, Chris Frazier brought it up, and it's been talked about. Hopkins, I don't know. I'm not sold on Denard Hopkins. One thing is, okay, you know, they're saying that realistically it's going to be probably like a 4th round pick for the guy, something like that. But how do contracts come into play with trades? Like, if a player gets here and they're already on contract, what can a team do to lower that hit? Do they extend? Do you know how that works? Like,
well, I mean, look, a lot of it depends on how much guaranteed money there was in the deal, because whoever's trading them still has to eat the guaranteed money. It gets accelerated to that point, okay, the cap hit. So if you gave him like a $20 million signing bonus over 4 years and you traded him after 2 years, the last 2 years would accelerate to right then of the guaranteed money to count against the cap. Whatever his remaining base salary is, that's what the team trading for him would then assume. Okay. So say he's made, and I don't have his deal in front of me. Say he's making $15 million base salary this year and next year. That's what the Titans would be taking on. Now, you can take that. There's a number of things you can do. Number one, you can trade and redo his deal, like we've seen so many other times, where you convert a segment of his base salary into a signing bonus or just into a bonus, and then it gets stretched out. You give him $10 million of his base salary and you add a year onto his deal, and now that gets spread out over 3 years and you erase like $7 million from his cap hit. That's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is ask the other team, like the Titans did with Tannehill and the Dolphins, to cover some of that expense. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen that often, but occasionally it does. So there are a number of ways you can lower that number, but that's what you're on the hook for, is the remaining base salary.
Yeah. I would have to look. If y'all know in the chat, if you could look up, what his salary is and guaranteed money, y'all let us know for DeAndre Hopkins. The consensus in the chat is Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah.
The question is, will he be available at 11? You got Addison and the other guy, Addison and Johnson.
Yeah.
Who are the two favorites for the top,
Well, there's also Zay
10
Flowers and kid from North Carolina,
Rice,
Rice from SMU, I think. Then
you got Hyatt,
and Cedric Tillman, the other UT guy.
Yeah,
and I know I saw some other people talking about Paris Johnson. I love Paris Johnson. I mean, I love Paris Johnson. Like I know I've said you can get linemen later. If you just said, hey, we're going to take Paris Johnson at 11, I'd go, okay, whatever. But he's got to be your left tackle. I mean, he's got to be your left tackle at that point. And you got to move. Andre Dillard's got to play right tackle or guard then at that point.
Man, if Paris Johnson's available, I don't see how you couldn't take him, right? I mean, I don't know.
Can Paris Johnson change the game for you as much as Njigba can?
It's a good question. And is Dillard good enough to hold it down?
Well, I mean, you get into that whole thing of, an average left tackle, okay, and then, you've got Jamar Chase, who goes for 1,800 yards and 15 touchdowns. Is there a tackle in the game who can change it as much as that guy? And I think the answer to that is no, unless he stinks like Dennis Daly, and then he changes it for the worse.
Yeah. Yeah, Dennis Daly getting that contract in Arizona.
2 years.
From
Monty Ossenford, who watched every game last season.
Yeah, what is that about? I mean, really, what is that about?
I have no idea. Oh, well, Chris Frazier's got here. 2 years, $54 million signing bonus.
Oh, yeah.
Salary, $27.25 total. Guaranteed $60 million. Is that the 2 years remaining on his deal? I'm guessing.
It's kind of jumbled up there. We appreciate it. No, but yeah, that's 60 guaranteed, total guarantees. That's for the 2 years.
Yeah.
Right?
It says 60 million guaranteed at signing.
Okay.
Yeah. And the average salary is 27. 27.5 million average salary.
Yeah.
So
hey, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a bit.
For a receiver over 30.
Yeah. We appreciate you, Chris. Thank you, man. He says 2 years left.
Yeah.
Alex is Mason Kinsey, wide receiver. Titan uploads. Hey, man, we're big Kinsey fans on the network. Everybody knows that. So if they throw Mason Kinsey in their number one, we're probably going to be cool with it. So, no, I'm just kidding. But we love some Mason Kinsey on the network.
I don't know if Mike Vrabel will be cool with it.
Right. I do hope, on a serious note. Now, Kinsey did get a futures contract. Look, everybody knows we know the Kinseys personally. We're friends with them, the family. So we're Kinsey loyalists. We're unapologetically. We haven't been as adamant about him as much over the past year or so because people have given us so much crap about it. Rightfully so. But I feel like, with the new GM, things like that, maybe he'll get a better shot. And if they don't bring in any wide receivers, they're going to have to give. They don't have anybody else, so we'll see what happens.
I'd say you're saying it's on the GM to give him more of a shot. Mike Vrabel determines who plays and how much. Okay.
Well, that's
so if Mason Kinsey was one of their best wide receivers, he would have played more by now. And Mike Vrabel would have put him out there. And so, in the few chances that he got to go out there, And look, I'm not sitting here ripping Mason Kinsey. I like Mason Kinsey. It's a great story. He works
Yeah.
his tail off. It's obviously his dream.
That's an amazing story. Yeah.
And maybe he, look, Cole Beasley was nothing for a long time. And worked himself into be a real player in the league. And we see this all the time. And, Mason Kinsey's time may still come. We just haven't seen enough to believe in it at this point.
Right. And the fact that the kid's got to play in some NFL games is incredible from where he's come
Unbelievable.
from. I mean, he's
unbelievable.
Only player from that school.
Preseason game in Atlanta. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
His parents were there, and he gave the ball to his mom.
That was Tampa.
Oh, that was Tampa? Okay.
Yeah, I was at that game because I lived in Fort Lauderdale at the time.
Okay.
So that's when I first met his folks and stuff. And he bloodied his nose that game, I think. And that's when he kind of won the fan base or whatever. But anyways, we'll see what happens at the wide receiver position. I don't know. I mean, obviously they're going to have to do something. It's at this point,
their numbers.
They don't even have enough warm bodies to get out there and play.
Yeah.
Bright spot is Chig.
And look, I think we don't talk enough about how big of a part of the passing game that Chig could be, because I think he needs to be. And you brought up Kyle Phillips. The thing I always hang on to is when J-Rob brought us all in to watch the game tape of what they saw from all their draft picks last year. Kyle Phillips was the guy when it was over who we were all like, wow. That guy is way better than any of us knew. And we're just talking about like overall game, punt, kick return, catching balls, yards after catch, blocking. I mean, he was an aggressive player. He just got to the NFL and, remember the water boy when Michigan tried to use the towel boy and he just got lit up? That's what Kyle Phillips looked like. I mean, every time he caught the ball, he just got destroyed. He needs to be stronger. And like you said, if he carries an extra 8 to 12 pounds, is he the same player? And that's what we need to find out. Because if he is, I mean, you saw in the preseason, I mean, didn't Tannehill throw him like 9-10 balls in a game once? I mean, early in the year?
Yeah, he had that first game where I think he had over 100 yards receiving.
And a ton of targets. And so, I mean, he was a guy that Tannehill trusted. So I do think that I've seen enough from Kyle Phillips where I believe if he can stay healthy and be a little bit stronger, I believe he can be a player for this team. I do. So I haven't given, I think most people have kind of shoved him to the side. I think he can be a player. I do.
Like we were talking about Chig, man. Chig was a awesome bright spot last year. One of the best, maybe the best rookie tight end. I had an old graphic here. This was his rookie grade. Yards per number 1 yards per route run. PFF grade, he was third. This was an out of all tight ends, not just rookie tight ends.
Which is remember like all season when we were asking why isn't he getting the ball more?
Yeah.
And here you go.
The far right one though is the most staggering out of tight ends and wide receivers. He was third in the freaking league, dude. Yards per route run.
Fourth.
Yeah, AJ Brown.
There it is. Could add both.
It's crazy. So he's a guy. Obviously, the Titans probably want to get a tight end that's more tight endish, I guess. But
I got a lot of intoxication with tight ends this year. I think about matching up a Michael Mayer or a Darnell Washington with Chig, and I just go, oh man. I mean Darnell Washington is huge, and he could be a red zone target for you. He can be a road grader up front for you. He doesn't have to catch a lot of passes for you, and I wouldn't be upset with him in round 2 at all. I know some people looked at him in round 1. To me, he's not that big of a difference maker. I think he certainly makes you better without question. but I want him in round 2. 41. I'm good at 41.
Yeah, a lot of people like Washington in the chat, Charles, and 615 is talking about Davis Allen. I don't know much about Davis Allen. I'd have to go look at him. But yeah, no, I mean, he says that Davis Allen is 6'6", 250 pounds. So there are some good tight ends out there than Washington as well.
There's a kid from South Dakota State. There's Mayer from Notre Dame. There's the kid from Utah, Dalton, that gets a lot of looks. So
right,
I think that there's a lot of choices there. And again, you could probably do it in round 3 or round 4, depending on how good. Yeah, Kincaid is the tight end out of Utah.
Yeah. I've seen some tape on that guy too. So another thing that I noticed this week is it the owners meeting is what they call it?
Yeah, they have the owners meetings down in Arizona where they get together for a few days, and rules are put forward that they end up voting on. But the other thing that happens at the spring owner meetings is that the GMs and the head coaches are all made available, and so that's why Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon were both available for interviews down there.
I want to play this clip real quick. It's been circulated a lot among Twitter. I can't either Tehran or I think Kaharski maybe asked them this, but
I know PK, Tehran, and Jimmy Wyatt were all there.
Yeah. So we'll roll this and kind of get your thoughts on it.
Of course. I mean, of course we do. We're in March. We're continuing to build a football team, the best football team we can. And Ryan's healthy. He's getting healthy. I would say that he's putting the work in. It's been good to see him around the building. We always expect that. But to make predictions, I think I've been through this last year. I'm not going to commit to anybody being on our roster on September. You know what I mean? I've seen it change too quickly. And of course that, we want Ryan as our quarterback and everybody else that's helped us win. That's what we want.
I know where you're going with that. And I am not going to overreact to that statement because he's talking about AJ Brown. Okay. All right. And the fact that I had that guy ripped out from under me last year. So I know anything can happen. That's what he's saying. But I think the other thing he's also saying without saying it is, he's our quarterback until we get somebody better. And that's the way it is for every guy on the roster. He's my guy until we have a better option because that's the league. That's what happened to Mike Vrabel. He was Bill Belichick's guy until he traded him to Kansas City.
All right. And I think it's just a lesson learned type of comment, and he's hesitant to say anything like that. And he's been a coach long enough now in the league to probably get a taste of it here and there. And he's probably learned his lesson on it. So I think that's all it is, really. I don't think it's anything really above and beyond. I don't think it's him because Mike Vrabel, if there's one coach in the league that's not going to tip his hat, it's probably that guy.
Well, Bill Belichick isn't.
Yeah, Bill Belichick's. Yeah, he's the master. But Vrabel played for Belichick. So I just feel like he's the one coach that's gonna. He is a player's coach, and that's probably what last year when he committed to AJ and all that. I mean.
Not going to be traded as long as I'm the coach of the team.
All right. And, that happened, and we don't know what J-Rob's part as far as the communication between him and that goes and what happened draft day. It's all speculation, really.
I've heard some of the stuff that happened on the other side. I think both sides are guilty of just not working it out. Whether AJ wanted to work it out or not, believe what you want to believe. But I always point to this. Deebo Samuel said everything he could about wanting to leave the 49ers. Who did Deebo Samuel play for last year? The 49ers. All right. You don't get better trading away great players. You just don't.
Right.
And the Titans traded away a great player. I understood what they were doing. I do. I totally understood it. But part of management quite often is finding a way to work things out or get the most out of people who are problematic in one way or another. That's part of the job. Now, part of the job is also, cutting ties. But you cut ties with something you haven't had in a really long time. And I don't know that there was enough work made in to try to salvage it. That's all. I think there was just a lot of hubris that, of course, we'll replace him. Of course I'll do it.
Yeah. Has J-Rob got any offers anywhere? I haven't heard anything in the news about.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have to. He's getting paid. So, if he wants to go work, he can. But he's basically working for free at that point because, I don't know how much was he making with the Titans. We'll say $3 million. I don't know. Let's just throw that number out. So say he goes and works for a team and makes $500,000. Okay, all that does is make Amy only have to pay him $2.5 million. And that just eases her burden because she just gave him an extension, so he's getting paid for a while.
Yeah, that's true. That's crazy, man. Be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. How about that mount? You know what I always think of was when Ken Wisenhunt got fired, and you hate somebody. You hate somebody when you owe him $25 million and fire him. And I just pictured Ken Wisenhunt. Remember when the Joker in The Dark Knight set that mountain of money on fire? That was Ken Wisenhunt just setting a mountain of the Titans' money on fire. That's absolutely
so crazy, man. What an experiment with him. That was a terrible season, man.
I can tell you how that all went down. I know every bit of it.
That was when the running back we had
Bishop
guy
Sankey.
that was
they drafted
Bishop Sankey.
Yep.
There was another guy though that was the backup. He used to play for the Chiefs or something. Kind
Dexter
of
McCluster.
fast.
Yeah, Dexter McCluster,
Yeah.
who still lives here in Nashville.
Yep.
But he was supposed to be Danny Woodhead because Wisenhunt was in San Diego with the Chargers where they had Danny Woodhead, and he brought in Dexter McCluster to be as Danny Woodhead. Problem is Dexter McCluster was 160 pounds, and Danny Woodhead, while short, was stout.
Right. And I actually met Dexter at one of Mr. Titan's things. He has at the first of the season, he always has a party at this place before the first game. And McCluster was there. Such a nice guy, man. Signed autographs, talked to everybody, just kind of.
He's a nice guy.
It was cool. But I just didn't work out. Wisenhunt's offense and all that just didn't work out here.
I've covered at any level of any sport.
Who was our quarterback then?
Well, it was Jake Locker, and he made sure that it wasn't Jake Locker. He completely sabotaged the young man so that he could turn the keys over to his now son-in-law, Zach Mettenberger.
Yes. Okay, that was the Mettenberger. Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh!
I tell this story a lot.
Well, some nepotism, huh?
He wasn't his son-in-law at the time.
Not then, but
there was a time with the coaches show, which I hosted for years, where in a commercial break, Ken Wisenhunt leaned over and said to me, "Cory, Zach could save this franchise." And I just
he did.
Yes, he did.
Did he really?
He did. And I just went, "Oh my God." Under my breath, I was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "This is going to be." I'm like, this organization's in so much trouble. I'm like, I knew they would be picking first. I'm like, they are going to be picking first. This is an absolute disaster. And I know everybody.
Did he hear you say it?
No, I didn't say that, but that was just
under your breath.
Every thought in my body was, and then I got to do another segment after that. And I'm like, how do I move on from that kind of moronic statement? Because I knew Zach Mettenberger. I'd seen him on the practice field. I'd talked to him. I knew exactly the kind of person he was. I knew that there were no leadership skills there whatsoever. There was no maturity there whatsoever. And it was going to be a disaster. And it was. It was absolutely horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Bouncy, he said that. That was actually said to me.
That is hilarious, man. What a crazy story. That's hilarious. He actually said that to you.
I also know that Dorial Green Beckham was a 5th round pick on the Titans board, but he demanded to get him in round 2.
What a disaster that was too. My gosh, man.
That's why GMs need to GM and coaches need to coach.
My gosh, that's terrible. Another thing I noticed this week at the owners or the GM meetings or whatever was Rand Carthon putting a lot of rumors to rest. I felt like he was
trying to,
doing that. He had on the Stillman, Jared Stillman had released earlier this week on the radio about the Byard thing. That Byard asked for a release, and then they came out and said he didn't. And so Rand had said this. I will say this: KB nor his representatives ever asked us for a release, so that was blatantly false.
But is he saying in there that he did not ask him to take a pay cut?
He did not say that. And,
I think that's important.
Yep. And we brought this up with Mike on the last show. And I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it too. I mean, is all this stuff and Rand had said something today about Derrick Henry, that it was erroneous or something like that. He used some word like that.
Yeah, he said that the reports that he was shopping Derrick Henry were erroneous. Yes.
Right.
And look, I believe him because he's taking over his football team and he's building his roster. He needs to find out what his roster is worth. He needs to know what his assets are. Like, how much, if I do end up wanting to trade Derrick Henry, what's he worth? Can I get a 3rd round pick for him? Can I get a 2nd? Can I get a 3rd and a 5? I need to know so that, like, if push comes to shove, this is what I can do. So I think there's a lot of asking without saying, hey, I'm dealing this guy. But like hypothetical, hey, if what do you think you'd be willing, like if we were going to talk about Derrick Henry, where would we start? I think there may have been a lot of those conversations, and the other thing with the Byard thing is we don't know the context of that conversation. We don't know if he sat down with KB and said, hey, this is our cap situation. I don't want to ask you to take a pay cut, but I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out a way to put a good team on the field. And with you at $20 million against the cap this year, I can't do it. I need some help. And I hate to ask you to take a pay cut, but I'm going to ask you to take a pay cut. I'm not going to make you do it, but if you want to do it for the football team. And I'm not saying that that's what he said, but that could be what he said. That's not beyond the realm of possibility. But he also could have said, Kevin, we love you, but if you don't take a $5 million pay cut, you won't be here next year. I mean, that's also not beyond the possibility as well. We just don't know.
Yeah, that's right, man. Let's get to a few questions. We'll open it up for some questions for you, and then we'll round it out. And man, thank you so much again for coming on. I think this is the 4th time you've been on, so we really appreciate that.
No problem.
So questions for Cory from the chat. Y'all let us know. Let's get a few questions for Cory in here. I do got one from awakentotheeternal.com. He says, Cory, what is your take on Richardson, QB from Florida, if he does fall in the draft to number 11?
You know what? It's tough because, obviously the athleticism is off the charts, completely off the charts. The problem is the start total, your sample size is not very big. I think like if he were to get picked, I think the stat I saw, he would have the fewest starts since a 1st-round quarterback since Mitch Trubisky. Okay. So he just doesn't have a lot. His completion percentage is only 53%. So that's not great. Now, look, if you view him as the guy, I think with him, he's a guy who sits behind Tannehill for a year, and then you roll with him. Because I think that 53% completion percentage scares the bejesus out of me. It just does. I mean, after watching Malik go like 5 for 28 in a game, I can't handle it. So, I mean, he's one again where I see how you could get intoxicated with the athlete. I mean, I absolutely could.
Yeah, and I could too. I mean, the question is, is he worth the 11th pick? Is he worth that high? I feel like somebody is going to take a bite on him.
Do you think Hooker goes in round 1?
I don't know, man. It all depends on the injury. I think it's a possibility. It's a definite possibility that somebody maybe at the end of round 1.
I'd much rather have Hooker at 41 than I would Richardson at 11.
Yeah.
But I really like
interesting.
I really like Hooker. I mean, I there's a lot I like about Hooker. And I'm not a Tennessee person. I'm from Chicago.
That's interesting, man. Yeah, I'm almost there with you. And I am a Tennessee guy, obviously, but I think Hooker I think he's got a better arm. He's better in the pocket. I like Hooker. I like his experience. He's so cool and calm and collective.
The one that gets me, okay, the Alabama game. He has that fumble, which gets taken back for a touchdown, and they fall behind. And what happens next? He takes them right down the field and scores a touchdown. And it's absolutely fantastic. Hendon is Willis 2.0, literally. They are nowhere even near comparable in my estimation.
Yeah,
nowhere.
I don't think so.
Hendon Hooker has a big arm. He's extremely accurate. He learned a new system like that. Okay. So I think Hendon Hooker checks a lot of boxes for me. A lot.
There's the other argument. He's older.
26, yeah. No, and look, that's a real argument. That's a real argument. But with guys playing to 40 now, and also, do you think? See, I here's my Hooker comparison: Jalen Hurts. He's more of my Hooker comparison.
Okay, I could see that. But I could definitely see that.
Jalen wasn't very accurate. I mean, he wasn't accurate at all at Alabama. He got amazingly better at Oklahoma. Amazingly.
Right.
And, going into this season, people were talking about Jalen Hurts as a top 5 quarterback. And I was like, he has not proven it at all because I didn't think he was great. But they put a great team around him, and he was unbelievable.
We'll get a couple more here. I think you kind of answered this in a nutshell by talking about other ones. But do you like Malik, or should we move on?
I'm not there now, so I don't know what he's doing right now. I don't know, how they're working with him. Based on what I saw last year, though, I have a hard time believing he's ever going to be a starter in the league. Now, that doesn't mean Geno Smith was awful 10 years ago. Just awful. Laughably bad.
Very true.
And he went to the Pro Bowl last year. But it took him 10 years and a whole lot of work to get there. I would have a hard time going into this season with Malik as my number 2 unless I saw a dramatic jump up in his ability to read it, grip it, and rip it this season, because he had a long way to go on that part.
Alex says, what about Jalen Hyatt?
I think there's a lot of straight line speed. And I think he's a guy who could help the Titans, because he could give them that speed element, on the outside for sure. But I don't, and I could be wrong because I really liked him. I mean, he had an unbelievable year. He's not in Jigba to me. He's not.
Yeah.
Like I said, he could be a guy who could help them in round 2. Okay. But number 11, I don't think so. But, you pair him with Traylon, they can help each other.
Right. Yeah, it'd be interesting to get a guy like that, man. I think it'd be could be electrifying, and what about the pressure on Burks coming into this season, man? It's going to be.
There's a ton of pressure on him because he's
Yeah.
it. I mean, he's got to be the guy. I like Traylon, and he had great plays and he had some good games for them. So I've got belief as long as he can stay healthy and be in shape that he can be a really good player for them. I mean,
Yeah.
He had 100-yard games on a really bad offense. He had 100-yard games. He made, you look at the deep ball catch he made against the Packers. Shoot, the catch that ended his season against the Eagles was unbelievable. That touchdown and somebody got concussed. It was fantastic. I think he's a good player. Look, we can say whatever we want about the trade. I don't really regret the pick.
Yeah, that play he made on the sideline where he tiptoed the sideline. Amazing, man. Anyways, man, we're going to wrap it up there, dude. Thank you so much for coming on again. You guys go watch Cory's show Monday through Friday.
Sunday through Thursday.
Sunday through Thursday. I got to get that right, man.
You watch Friday, you get to see Samaria, and she's way prettier.
Yeah, Sunday through Thursday. On News ABC 2. Here in Nashville, Channel 2, News 2, WKRN. So you guys go watch his show. You do great work, man. We appreciate your time, and thanks so much for coming on again.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me. I hope I've been able to offer some kind of wisdom on something. But if anybody ever has any questions for me, after years of keeping them closed, I have opened up my DMs on Twitter, so you can just send them to me.
There you go. There you go. Send them all the messages you want every day, all day. No, I'm just.
But if you're a jerk, you will get blocked.
So, all right, man. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening, man.
Thanks everybody for being here.
So that was Cory. Always so gracious with his time, and he's just a wealth of knowledge, man. He's so awesome. He's been covering the team since they've been here, and his show is great on Channel 2. I've watched it for years. So thank y'all so much for tuning in tonight. The chat's been great. We kind of went live right when Buck did, I think. So we were kind of battling them too. But we had a great turnout. You guys were great. We had 40, 50 people in here. I don't know how many we had from Facebook and all that too, from Twitter and everything. So, but yeah, the numbers don't matter. It's about you guys and just the communication in the chat. You guys have been amazing. What we got coming up for the channel, we are posting every day from this channel right now. So whether it's in the morning, at night, live shows, recorded videos, check out this morning's video from our very own Titans for Life. He did a video, an awesome video, talking about how he thinks the Titans are going to open up the offense this year. They're going to open up the playbook. Tim Kelly coming in. It's a great video. Go check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments of that video. If you're like, oh, this is bullcrap, or oh, I can see them doing this. Great video. We're going to be posting every day on here. Apocalypse, how come Titan Upload is barely on this channel? Well, we have become the Titan Upload Network. We've always had the network for the past year or two. So we just decided Titan Upload graciously decided to make this the Titan Upload Network rather than just Titan Upload. Titan Upload does a lot of watch parties. He does live videos. He doesn't get to go as live as much as he want to. He's, we all work regular jobs. We don't do this for a living. We're not media guys. We got, a lot of us have kids, jobs, things like that. So we condense it because we want to bring you guys daily content on one network. We're the biggest, I'd say, other than Titan Anderson, we're the biggest fan-made network out there for the Titans. So we got 7 channels posting on this channel all the time. So we're posting content daily, whether it's from me, the Power Hour, 615 Podcast, Titans for Life. We got a draft Guru, Draft Brian, Ryan Harris. If I'm leaving out anybody, I hope I'm not. Anyways, but yeah, so we're all posting. So you're actually getting a lot more content now from this channel. So really, guys, go follow us. I mean, we're all about you guys. We're fans. Y'all are fans. We love doing this. We don't make any money off of it. Very little at all from whatever you guys donate. We don't make much off views or nothing. We just do this because we love the Titans. We love the community. We love you guys. And that's why we do this. But please go follow this. This is our new format. Titan Upload still goes live once a week. He's still posting a couple videos a week. We're just posting every day too, from all different angles. So thank you guys so much. Chris Frazier, Eric, MB. I appreciate that, dude. I would love to. That's the dream, man. I'm trying to get credentialed. So that's the dream. Eric, we appreciate you too. Everybody in here, Lauman, Charles, all of our members. Charles is a member. You can become a member of the channel. We're going to roll out something new for that too, since we've become the network. Dredot, Goku, Adam Awad, Awaken to the Eternal, Avanzies, who else we got in here? Let me scroll back. Some of you guys might not be in here. Justin Lawson, I said Ahmad, Big Dog, Alex M. Thanks for tuning in, man. So a lot of you guys been in here commenting tonight. C-Dub, Bloodwork, Chris Frazier for sure. And y'all go follow Chris Frazier on Facebook, his Facebook page, Tighten Up for Life. He's got a huge following over there. Lone Star Titan, Goku, everybody that's been in there tonight, my hat's off to you. God bless you all, and y'all have a great evening. And we'll see you soon. Check out tomorrow's video. I think Titans for Life has another video coming out. Check out this morning's video. It's really good, guys, for real. Y'all need to go check that out when you get off here, if you got some time. And we'll see you next time, folks.